Got a great tutorial for you today, and it's off the back of 2 lessons with Sean and Kevin. And these guys had similar issues with sequencing, and if you follow the link you can watch their videos and get the in-depth fly-on-the-wall view of the whole lesson. But what I'm going to do in this tutorial is talk a bit more specifically about the rationale behind what we did in a particular part of the session. And it's really the end of the chain that was extremely influential on how the whole body adapted and how they found their later release. Because most of us who struggle with inconsistency, especially with controlling ball flight and catching the ball maybe a bit thin or a bit fat, we've got issues with an early release, which brings the low point too far before the ball. And that causes a whole host of problems and also a whole host of fixes, because in our mind we recognise what we're doing, we kind of know what we're doing, but then we search YouTube, we go for lessons and we look and try and find an answer for an early release and a low point that's too far before the ball. Are we actually able to make these movements? And when we are able to make them, do we recognise them? So in this particular case with Sean, he had a limitation in his shoulder. We managed to release that shoulder and create more range, which suddenly tapped into a sequence because he was able to separate the arm from the rib cage. This is something that is super important because the shoulder, the whole shoulder girdle, is linking the arms to the rib cage and the spine, the torso. So we've got to make sure we've got the available movement, we want to explore it, then we can start to recognise how it plays its role in a sequence. With Sean, he'd got limited shoulder mobility, and this is critical for allowing the club to lag behind the upper body. So for example, if I raise my arm here and explore now how much I can rotate away from this shoulder, this now is lag. So from here, if I rotate, just turn away, my club's there, I'm here, look what I've had to do with the shoulder. I've had to externally rotate. Because in a golf swing, we're doing this, but we're also doing this. We're also moving away. Are we able to externally rotate? If not, we can get stuck. And everything moves together as a block. And no matter how hard we try to get a sequence or get the club travelling from the inside out, we really struggle. And then we start doing other things to try and create that because there's a blockage in the chain. If we just stand next to the wall, upright, not in your golf posture, shoulder, elbow, torso all in line, and then keeping the elbow on the wall, are you able to move your hand away from the wall? Now we're not looking for an excessive amount, just a little bit of movement away from the wall. Don't worry if you can't do it. Now stand with the back of the arm against the wall this way, and standing here against the wall, I'm going to push my hand into the wall. You're going to feel this back of the shoulder into the scapula, okay? And then I want you to just retest. Give it a shake, loosen it off, and then just retest. And I've now just got a little bit more. We only want a little bit. Okay, so once we've got a little bit of external rotation, that's fine. We should be able to ideally get this past vertical when we're in standing. And then we do that on the other side as well. But we're focusing on the trail shoulder in this video. What you can also do is take a TheraBand. This does work with a towel as well. If you've not got a TheraBand, even though the towel won't stretch, don't worry. You're activating these muscles, which are going to help release that joint. Because that's what we're working on. We're working on muscle release. So taking a TheraBand and holding it with your elbows by your rib cage, arms bent 90 degrees, and just keeping the elbows in, just pull the band apart. 5 reps, nice and easy. Then what you can do is retest again. Now I'm getting even more. Be careful not to lean back and give yourself, because what I'm really doing here is just cheating and just extending my spine, pushing my hips forward, and that's really the movement we see a lot of. So if you're an early extender, as all the videos say, maybe your body's doing this to compensate for this. These movements that you see are often just a result of something else earlier on in the chain not moving or not complying as part of that sequence. So when we've got this bit of movement here, we can start to introduce the club and explore what it's like to externally rotate. So swinging, just swinging up and letting that shoulder just rotate. Just the swinging of the arms now allows us to feel the weight of the golf club, and then just rotating the body now creates the swing to the golf ball. And it's all coming from here. This is where the force is travelling outward from. Here, the lead shoulder. This is just contributing to the snap. The problem is, for most of us, it contributes too early. And then we're not using this. So we've got to be able to stay in this external rotation for as long as possible. And guess what? If you can throw a ball, you're doing it already. And see what it's like to throw a ball. Are you able to let the arm move freely? If not, let's try that exercise just to free up the shoulder range. So taking this to the golf ball now, let's take the club with our trail hand and let's just flail the club. And whilst you're flailing the club, are you able now to rotate your torso before the handle changes direction and let the handle react to the torso? Because when you do that, you're using the shoulder. This is the same way as throwing. Just simulate the throw. Put the club in your hand, tilt down, look where you are. It can be quite a scary thing to do at first because we're so used to being here striking the ball, and now we're here and we've not yet struck the ball. It's kind of what's going to happen. Apprehension starts to kick in, bit of anxiety, and then the body starts to take over. The nervous system's not quite recognising what's going on. We get that sympathetic response, the fight, flight, freeze, and we try and hit the ball instead of allowing ourselves the opportunity to actually sequence. And look where the handle is now. At the moment we're going to feel the contact with the ball. It's going to be away in front. And this is quite, at first, an unnerving feeling because we're so used to being here. Now we've got the club lagging behind and it's a much later strike. So what I suggest you do then is put your lead hand back on and now make a swing from there back and through, feeling that motion. And notice the timing. It's all about timing. Because we can sense the sequence now, these moving parts, we can recognise the timing. Notice how quick the torso rotates, how early it rotates. We've freed up the sequence and we recognise this reaction. There's no surprises now. So we're going to let this thing happen. Just with pitch shots, turn it into a punch shot. Just turn it into a punch. Now you can start to get more power. You can start to ramp up the speed, but the speed's coming from the rotation. Well, if you throw the ball, what's going to rotate first? The lower body, the pelvis. The feet are going to help move the pelvis. Then the torso reacts, and now the upper chain can react. So going back to the ball now, feeling that chain, feeling that sequence, feeling that late release, and where does it want to take you? Into a new finish. Just let the club rest on the shoulder at the end. Just let the arms relax. Just like throwing a ball, your arm's going to be relaxed at the end. It's not finishing like this. So then taking your setup, have a swing. And start to feel how late you can leave the club. Just leave it there. As late as you can. Allow yourself to use that whip. And when you do these exercises, when it comes to hitting the golf ball, you won't have to think about it because you're comfortable with how the body moves, just like how you walk, how you throw the ball, how you kick a ball. You allow the movement to happen unconditionally based around the intention. All we're doing here is adding some context to it. So we can start to tune ourselves to what we're doing, recognise it through self-awareness, to let it go, to let ourselves use that flail, use the body the way it's designed to be used. And get that strike, get that control, just like Kevin and Sean did. So leave your comments below, guys. Let me know how you get on. Any issues, let us know, because we can make some videos in the future to support this. And enjoy exploring your sequence just like Kevin and Sean did.